me about the street cleaning. Arcadia Hills streets haven't been cleaned yet this year. I was hoping that they will come around and do them, and I guess they are going to. Now, a couple other things. I'm still really worried about that silica dust, and my granddaughter and all the other kids in Arcadia Hills breathing it. And reading in the FEIS now, I'm learning that besides normal dust that's going to be kicked up, they're going to be crushing rock back there. There's going to be a cement plant back there. Let's add some more dust. Also, in the pages so far that I've read, they're backing down from giving the town 60 grand to addition to the 2 wells. They were going to give us 60 grand to help get them online. That's off the table now. What constitutes what is done at a work session and what is done at a town board meeting? Is it the same process, is it the same topics discussed?
Normally at a work session, we introduce the concept, and we sometimes don't finish it there. We formalize it between the work session and the town board meeting. Normally the town board meeting like tonight, we pass things. We'll do it also at work sessions if something's quite simple, but that's the difference.
So there's really virtually no difference. You can pass things at a work session
You can
also.
do it, absolutely.
Legally, there's no separate type of meeting called a work session. They're all open meetings of any kind of board, town board, village board, etc. So, although there's a practice of many municipalities to have certain types of things on a work session and other things on a regular session, they can do anything at either one of those sessions.
And it's just that you've decided to make Thursdays the session that allow the public to speak.
That's correct.
There's no reason why it couldn't be done also on Tuesday.
Well, no, one of the reasons why we don't do it in the work sessions is for the dialogue amongst ourselves. We're trying to figure out where we're at on these items, which we then will bring to the town board meeting if that occurs. But it's one for us to more openly discuss. The agenda is not quite as rigid as it is on Thursday night.
Okay, last Tuesday you discussed the
Monday.
Right. Last Monday you discussed the possibility of putting water and sewer service, or passed a resolution to try to acquire a grant, state grant for water and sewer.
Right,
So that wasn't necessary to have public input on that.
that's correct.
Okay. I'm still wondering what the difference is, because there's got to be one in there somewhere. Given 8 days to read 6,000 pages is an astronomical task. The FEIS is 6,000, 8,000 pages. We've got 8 days to process that and write a letter. Is Chris Baker still on the planning board?
Yes.
And the master plan, you yourself just stated that it takes at least a year of study.
No, it can take up to a year. We normally start, and it depends on how much time we can give it based on everything else. If we stayed right with it, we could go through it quite quickly. Normally you don't. Normally other things will circumvent it, and you have to get off to do something else.
And just a toy now, if this goes through, I'm thinking about changing my property to commercial. Is that possible?
Anything's possible.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Nick. John Stein.
You guys like me, by the way?
I love it.
Wonderful. The question about the master plan and the law banning amusement parks raised the question, why was that law written in the first place? And who wrote it? Anyone know? It must have been written for a reason.
Kenny knows.
Anyway, I'll thank you for the opportunity. I like all of you guys, whether you like me or not. I like all of you. And I think this is great. I think it's the best part of your town board meetings. You all look forward to it. I was thinking, I was struck by something at the planning board meeting last time where they accepted the FEIS. Every public meeting begins with the Pledge of Allegiance. It's like being back in school again, having to stand up every day for the Pledge of Allegiance. And I started to wonder why we say it and what it really means, and if we really believe it. If we have our convictions to say it, because when we say the Pledge of Allegiance, we're taking an oath, especially politicians. I love the part that says, one nation under God, indivisible. That means we can't be divided, not divided, with liberty and justice for all. But when we're not allowed to comment at these public hearings on a project that will affect us all, many of us think negatively, that is not justice for all. And I think if you're not going to abide by this pledge and oath, we should not be saying it. If you say it, mean it. Justice for all. We need to, that answers the question, referendum. Legoland, in their brochure here, says they're committed to being an exceptional neighbor to Goshen and the greater Orange County community. So who could dispute a referendum, whether it's non-binding or binding? And what does non-binding, binding mean? Let's ask the people of this community what they want. And I'm sure Legoland, wanting to be this exceptional neighbor, would go along with it. And if not, then we have to question their honesty. Are they going to be an acceptable neighbor? I think you all ought to ask that question. That's really what I have to say tonight. I think everyone here is here with a passion. I was a little disturbed by the way David was treated at the planning board meeting last week, David G. I thought he was sort of stifled in his opinions, which I think we all had a right to hear. But anyway, I hope that we will be given a chance to comment publicly on the FEIS, which I don't think answered all our questions that we wrote in response to the DEIS. One of their comments was, we're not obligated to discuss health issues and the effects the park may have on our health. That was lacking. Thanks.
Okay, thank you,
John, that was John.
Bob? Pardon?
That was John.
What did I say?
Jerry.
Oh,
Jerry.
sorry, not John, okay. I'm pretty certain I said John, but, okay, Bob?
Yes, Bob Torsello, Town of Goshen. And I've spoken before the board many times, and it has to do, I'm an accountant, corporate accountant, cost-benefit analysis. And just asking for a project of this magnitude, has the board gotten an independent cost-benefit analysis? And maybe it has, I mean, it's been a while since I've been back, but I haven't read that we've had one. But I'm just wondering if we have one, and if we do, is it something that would be public?
The answer to that is that our budget officer put one together many months ago involving police and highway.
Right.
We scoped one out here a couple of weeks ago, and it also involved police and highway. And we're just about to assign this to a company to do it.
Great.
Just
I mean,
about to what?
that's-
Assign it to a
As
company.
you know, being a corporate person in project management, certainly Merlin, that was the first thing they did, was a cost-benefit analysis, and it had to meet certain criteria. And again, something of this magnitude needs to meet your criteria, whether it makes sense. But just one other thing I wanted to talk about. I don't know if anybody here has experience with living in a tourist community. I grew up at the Jersey Shore, and there are definitely challenges to living in a tourist community. Certainly, it's a quality of life issues. I mean, Mr. Dropkin at the planning board meeting said there was, it's highly subjective, these quality of life issues, but in tourist communities, I can tell you, it's not highly subjective. It's a challenge to live with, and it changes your life. At the Jersey Shore, we really didn't have a choice. We had a natural tourist attraction. And people were just going to come to it. But here, you do have a choice as to the impacts that we are going to face. And growing up and having to change your life to when people can come, when you're going to move around, when you can go to a store, are things that quite possibly we're going to have to deal with here. Family coming to visit on a weekend, you know, it's going to be a challenge. And I think you need to really think long and hard about it, because you do have a choice. And it is certainly something I would please ask you to put into your judgment on this. And, you know, in making this decision, listen to your heart, not always the brain. The heart really can impact what drives this and your decision making. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Ellen?
I attended the work session on Monday night. I'm a little confused about something, maybe you can clarify for me. There was a developer, I believe it was for Hillcrest on Derlin Road. Was that on Monday?
No.
Yes.
R.J. Smith.
Okay, and
on
what I got
79.
out of that, and this is, I'm trying to clarify, was that there was a zoning change that was needed, and the board's answer to him was that the town of Goshen will be looking at redoing zoning for the entire town of Goshen, so go away now and come back when we're, you know, after we've done all that. I mean, I don't mean like go away, but I'm just saying, was that what I understood? Was that correct?
Well, when he came here, he didn't have a complete plan. It may involve another property as well as that property. It was really, really early. He was just trying to bring this to, he came to my office and said, don't talk to me, talk to the board. So he just introduced the concept. If it in fact comes the way it is, then it's going to require zoning change. By the time he gets ready and has applicants and everything else, we will probably be well in our way on zoning change. We did not have enough information that evening, one way or the other.
So if another developer comes to you with a similar size project, say, and they are actually ready for, they've done more than this gentleman has, and that project is further along, and now he's at the point where, hey, I need the zoning change now to proceed, would you tell that developer the same thing? We're not going to give you a zoning change now because we need to work on the zoning for the entire town.
I can only deal with the one that we had.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I can only deal with the one that we had here that evening.
Okay, so it's possible, being that the two different developments might be at different stages of their planning, that next week a developer could come to you with a different project that's further along, and you might be willing to possibly grant that zoning change at this point before you have looked at the entire town?
What we're going to do, we're going to go into the zoning change, the master plan and zoning. We're going to do this in a month or two. And that's start the process. I don't know how long that'll take. Whatever would require a zoning change would have to be in that activity.
So a developer at this point that doesn't have their zoning change is going to have to wait until...
That's correct. That's correct.
That doesn't apply to Legoland, they need a zoning change.
Look at the work
Local
they-
law number 6.
Look at the work they've been doing for the last year. Last year. They've been at this a year, and there's no zoning change yet.
The other developers have been working for a while, I'm
Well,
sure
anyway,
too.
I'm just sharing, that's my opinion, my opinion.
That, I'm sorry, I just didn't understand the
Well, I
last
guess you
thing.
don't.
That's why
Well,
I'm asking you for
I gave you the
clarification.
answer, and that's the answer. Anybody that comes in right now, a developer that's got a plan, and it's unsubstantiated, they're gonna have to wait until we get into the zoning, which is gonna be in a month or two. or 3.
Local law number 6, how does that changing the zoning there? Doesn't that have?
Thank
isn't
you very
that
much for your
involved?
comment.
Wow.
Okay.
Everybody else,
You've been hearing this thing for a year.
and I'm trying to.
A year, and you know what the answers are.
I wouldn't be up here if
Wow,
the answer
Mr.
was.
Burns.
May I have another moment, as you've granted other people when they have
Yes.
politely asked?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So my next question, or the next kind of thing that I'm trying to wrap my head around and trying to understand, is that we have local law, a proposed change, local law number 6, which has to do with zoning for a certain area. Is that going to be dealt with before you take a look at the new zoning for the entire